What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay and starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Okay, so I'm just gonna get right into it. I am not a fan of Michael Bay, meaning I am not a huge fan of Michael Bay's work. I am not one of those raging fanboys who's gonna crucify Michael Bay for making bad movies. I don't watch enough of the man's work to really care about the criticism aimed at him. The movies that I like from Michael Bay are the movies that I have in my collection that I like from Michael Bay. One of those movies that I actually enjoy from Michael Bay are the Bad Boys movies. I think Bad Boys is the perfect blend of action, comedy, and spectacle. This movie is really light in terms of storytelling. Like the plot of this movie is nothing spectacular. Pretty much pretty much Mike Lowry, Marcus Burnett, played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, have to pretty much take down this drug kingpin. That's pretty much the story. There's nothing really to it story wise. Like I said, the story is really light. This movie is not about storytelling. This movie is just about showing action sequences and having a sense of humor. And this movie works because you have talented and charismatic actors like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence who are a joy to watch on screen. The best moments of this movie come from these two. Their chemistry is outstanding. Their jokes, they their jokes land, and like I said, their chemistry is outstanding. Like you believe that Marcus and Mike have been partners and friends for a very long time. They're constantly bickering at one another. They're making jokes at one another. They're putting each other down here and there. But at the end of it, you can tell that there's a respect over there and there's a love for one another because they view each other as blood brothers. And like I said, the chemistry between Lawrence and Smith can't be replaced. If these two weren't in the movie, then Bad Boys would indeed really suck. Lawrence and Smith carry this movie on their back and they make it watchable. But that doesn't mean that the supporting cast around them is bad. You got Joe Pantoliano who plays their captain Conrad, and Joe Pantoliano is great in this movie as well. I've always been a fan of Joey Pantoliano. I've always thought the man was actually really funny, and I like him being the third cog in the trio because he doesn't put up with the bullshit of Mike and Marcus, and he'll be the first to put them down, and he'll be the first to put them in their place, and he can also match their wits as well. There's particularly just one scene where Marcus has to pretend to be like Mike while he's talking to a witness on the phone, and the captain's just like, "Talk like Mike, talk like Mike. He don't talk like that. You gotta talk sexy. You gotta talk sexy." It's hilarious. Joy Pantoliano is hilarious. Such an underrated actor. Tia Leone's in this movie. She is the witness character who Mike and Marcus have to protect because she saw her best friend get gunned down, and not only that, she knows when this drug deal is going to go down too. So she's a material witness. She needs to be protected at all costs. And the movie is just pretty much the boys protecting this woman at all costs. And this is the inciting incident for all the action sequences that happen in this movie. This movie, like I said, light on story, but it's heavy on the action sequences. And for the most part, a lot of the action sequences, they're very well done. And they're very entertaining to watch. Even though this movie has a heavy reliance on the action sequences, and maybe you could have fleshed out the story just a little bit more to make it just a little bit more impactful. But listen, Michael Bay is not a director in the sense of telling stories. He's a director in the sense of just using the most basic plot as an excuse to shoot action sequences. And when it comes to shooting action sequences, there's really no one better than Michael Bay. He's one of the best directors in terms of the action genre. He knows how to create visual spectacles. He knows how to create action sequences that keep you gripping and are just very entertaining to watch. Yes, they're bombastic and over the top, but they're visually entertaining. And Michael Bay is good at delivering visual action spectacles. And to Michael Bay's credit, he's also good at directing the more humorous and comedic bits in this movie as well. Like I said, this movie is a heavy reliance on his comedy and a heavy reliance on his action, and it really meshes the two really well. But there are also some moments in this movie where it kind of goes a little dark in a lot of areas. Particularly this one scene that is mostly shot in shadow, and it's actually a really cool scene where one of the drug dealers kills a madam of a prostitute ring, pretty much just clubs her with a hammer. But we don't see that, we don't see it happen, but it's visually implied that it does because we see the aftermath of what happens. We see the hammer, we see the blood on the hands, and we see the woman just completely just destroyed. So Michael Bay, when he wants to, the guy can direct scenes really, really well and create a good atmosphere and suspense to them. But like I said, he's more of an action directing spectacle type of guy. And the scenes of actual suspense are very few and far between in this movie. But like I said, the best parts of this movie is pretty much Marcus pretending to be Mike, having to hide it from his wife, played by Teresa Randall, to the point where Mike and Marcus got to swap houses because the Marcus character has to be in Mike's house and Mike has to be in Marcus's house, and it's just really funny. It's just seeing Martin Lawrence pretend to be like Will Smith, like he's like trying so hard to keep this act up, but since the character of Marcus is more of a neurotic and not a smooth talking guy like Mike Lowry, it's fun to see him. It's fun to see him just stumble over his words and just it's great stuff, you know, because you got Marcus, who is this well-adjusted, who is this family man, and you got Mike, who is like this player in a way. So it's fun seeing the dynamic, and Martin Lawrence pulls it off beautifully. He is hilarious in a lot of these scenes, and I like it a lot. I think all these actors have a good chemistry with one another. Tia Leone, she works really well with Smith and Lawrence. I already mentioned that Joe Pantoliano, he is fantastic along with Lawrence and Smith. I mean, if anything, the weakest cog of this movie is the villain Fichet. At the end of the day, he's just a drug dealer who got his intel from a crooked police officer, and that's pretty much his whole deal. He's just there. There's really nothing all that interesting about the character of Fichet. He's just there for someone to fight. His character is just meant to be an obstacle to overcome, and that's pretty much it. In that terms, for a movie like this, he serves his purpose, and the actor plays the role fairly well. And that's pretty much all I got to say about the first Bad Boys movie. Overall, I think it's highly entertaining. Yes, the story is completely weak, but this movie has really good action sequences, and it's got good character moments and good comedic moments. And to be honest, I think this is going to go down as my favorite Michael Bay movie. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Bad Boys a solid 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this movie. I really like this movie. 25 years later, it's still very entertaining. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Bad Boys. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.